So you've been publishing this for 15 years?
No, this is actually my first actual like self-publication. I'm fully trying to get extremely professional, taking it really serious.
All right.
That was my first shot, and I just got it out there around.
So you wrote it, grew everything. Eh?
Yes.
Wow. So this is like the baby, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. So how do you feel about it? What are your like self-critique on how you think it came out?
I think for the most part, definitely with the later pages, I felt like I felt pretty proud of it, but on the level of, just having something solid put in my hands, to read. But even still, just being an artist, I feel like there's still more to do. I feel like there's different ways I could have approached every different angle and scene and every panel.
The first thing that was jumping out at me, I feel like you're kind of struggling with the perspective a little bit. Like there's some things I can tell you were probably trying to do to kind of emphasize the point of the scene, and like you weren't really clear on I mean, is that like hitting a barrier or anything like that? You feel like you were running into?
Like that's how I feel sometimes. Just like I'll sit there and I'll debate over how should I approach the next panel, or maybe I've used that in a previous comic, so I'll try to defer from using that, and I'll try to look for something else to convey my message. So yeah, that's something I actually battle with, and I try to be.
I mean, people don't know me. I'm always talking about perspective. That's just when I think about when I was in school. I wished I honed in on it more than I did. I mean, freshman year was all I did.
You did a pretty good job of that.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I mean, a lot of it came from after I graduated. I mean, there was just things that I struggled with I wouldn't have if I had really gotten attention. Yeah, I mean, we only had it freshman year in a 5-year course.
She had a very bad case.
Well, 2 semesters, that's it. And actually currently we're phasing that out. So
you figured perspective would be one of the more important things.
That's the way, I mean, I've been doing this 20 years, and that's, I mean, easily.
You picked that up on everything.
Right. I mean, the top 3 things you need to have.
I've got to interrupt you. I'm going to say goodbye here, but I've got those 2 figures.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, anyway, it's good seeing you.
Good seeing you, too.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great.
Take care.
All right, you too. But the thing is, I remember, I mean, when I first started, even my first published work, I was doing what I call fake perspectives, and it takes forever, and there are things that you want to do that you can't. It's like, well, how would I change that? So I kind of go with something safer or easier, and then it's like, that's not what I saw in my head. But I mean, it's like I would tell my teachers, tell my students that studying perspective and learning it is boring. I ain't gonna lie, it is. It's boring, but when you get that tool, boy, it's just like a hammer. I mean, you just stuff that you could take some of the most dullest scenes and just shoot it different. I say shoot it, like the camera differently and make it interesting. I mean, I think about really like you're a filmmaker. Really, that's really what it is. It's cinematography. I remember there was a Marvel editor was giving me advice. I said, I want to learn storytelling. Study cinematography. Really, that's all comics are. Is cinematography, except the pages don't move, but you have to apply the move. And so think like a camera. Well, to do that, you got to have a handle on perspective. It's kind of like, I knew you were going to say that. I hate perspective. So it's funny for me to stand here talking about perspective, because I didn't like it. I'm not going to say I did like, I always loved perspective. No, I didn't. I thought that stuff was boring. But when I learned it, then it was kind of like it made stuff faster. I had more leeway. You could get more. I mean, you're not locked into reference. Let's say you find good photo reference, but maybe it's not interesting, but it's like, okay, well, let me change the point of view of how I'm seeing it. Then it could be something fresh and usable,
As like another thing that I tend to do is that, like you said, go on perspective. I try to use perspective, as you can probably see, because I don't want to be like scared of it.
Right.
I want to be able to sit there and take everything from different advantages.
Well, to me, it sounded like math, and I hated math.
I hate math too, but I mean, you still have to make things look right, or at least attempt to.
And I thought, because I mean, I'm taping stuff down. I got T-squared. I'm like, man, I don't have time for math class. But the more you do it, it's second nature. I mean, it's stuff that used to take so long. I visited my old schools, and they had some stuff that I did like junior year, and I'm like, I mean, it was people trying to get in the elevator. I mean, lines of the ceiling, and nothing was lining up to the vanishing. I mean, it's kind of like, don't use that as an example, or at least an example of what not to do. And the thing is, I remember doing that piece. It took forever. That shouldn't have taken an hour. I mean, it's kind of like all it was people in the hallway trying to get in the elevators. I mean, it's a real, basic Spartan background, but because I didn't understand high level vanishing point, it took forever and it looked awful. I mean, so I put all the effort into the figures, but see, the figures couldn't keep you from looking at what kind of a Twilight Zone environment are we in. You know what I mean? I was trying to go for a really low, like a worm's eye view kind of shot, but I didn't understand how to do it, so it just kind of came to this weird, you know what I mean? But when you understand it, then anything that's in your head, you can make happen on the page, So since you're doing something that deals with environment and you're getting, focusing on the drama of the people,
That was a rock book.
You're going to want to be able to have, and I can see you're thinking that way, but it seems like there's a couple times you're struggling with what I can tell what you're going for, but the more you get a handle on that, boy, I can tell you, it'll just be such a helpful tool to you. But you're on your way, though. One thing, stick with it. It may not always be exciting.
The exciting part for me is actually seeing it come together.
It all comes together, especially when it matches what you saw in your head,
Yeah, because a lot of people just sit there. A lot of people, like I have friends who are off artists, they don't have the drive to sit down and at a desk and work it all out.
Because there are times it's just work. I mean, we enjoy what we do, but there are times, no matter what you're doing, your own thing or for somebody else, it will feel like work. If nothing else, the deadline part will feel like work.
Yeah, I try to set deadlines for myself, just because there's going to be deadlines if you want to be
right.
So, I try to do as much work as I can to sit there, try to get myself in that thought process.
And then, as artists, let's say if there's some other things going on in our lives, it may be fighting for space in our head. We still have to combat that as well,
I'm telling you.